Today on the Morning Edition, the Marines are coming to Alaska with a new rotating force and a permanent unit at JBER. While the Pentagon says our state is now critical to Arctic defense and what hundreds of Marines training here could mean for your community. Plus, a jet ski at 70 miles an hour, still no match for a 300-foot Tsunami. We'll show you a new video game built from real data on the Tracy Arm landslide and Tsunami that lets you ride the wave. And later, new Pentagon files out on UFOs, now out in the open. More than 160 documents detailing hundreds of strange sightings worldwide. But what do they say about aliens, and what do they leave unexplained? We'll find out as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Monday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. You think they're out there, Aaron?
No.
Maybe some from your home planet?
No, I'm a firm believer that there's not. But, you know, one can always be proved wrong. So.
Yep.
Well, we are waking up this morning. We've got ongoing drier weather making a return to inland areas of South Central. Now, this video or this shot coming in from atop our station here in Midtown, kind of giving off fall vibes when you're looking off in the distance with those trees. But I can assure you, we are still dealing with some springtime weather. In fact, much drier conditions to be expected this week across inland areas of South Central, while coastal regions will continue to hold on to some rainfall. 38 degrees is what we're currently sitting at this morning, with winds for the most part remaining fairly light. We are going to see winds, though, increasing as we welcome in the afternoon and evening hours. We got 30s and 40s across South Central this morning, with coastal rain still with us. And the coast is where we are going to favor most of the rain as we head throughout this week. Now, parts of the Susitna Valley waking up to some showers as we start off your Monday, but that will be short-lived. You can see coastal areas, we are still holding on to somewhat dry conditions, but rain will arrive as we welcome in the evening hours and then carry us through the rest of this week for coastal areas. And that comes as the system builds southwest or builds to the northeast out of the Aleutians and northern parts of the Pacific Ocean. That will also bring the return to widespread rain to Kodiak later this evening, where we're going to be talking about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall looking possible by tomorrow evening. So we'll hold on to a mix of sun and clouds for inland areas of South Central today. Those temperatures will try to make a run near 50 degrees. Coming up in my full forecast, we'll be talking about more of the drier conditions for inland areas of South Central. With that coastal rain, we've got a red flag warning in the interior for southeastern parts. And yes, those ice jams and river breakups still underway across the state. I'll have the latest on some of those flood warnings and a look at that river breakup coming up.
U.S. Marine Corps leaders, along with Senator Dan Sullivan, say the Marines will now have both a rotational and persistent presence in Alaska as part of Campaign Alaska. The announcement at UAF came from Lieutenant General Robert Shea, who says the goal is to boost Marine Corps Arctic capabilities. A new Marine rotational force in Alaska will bring hundreds of troops north for high-end Arctic training, homeland defense, and joint exercises like Arctic Edge and Red Flag. The Marine Corps says the effort is part of a broader strategy that sees the Arctic as an increasingly important part of U.S. defense.
They're rotational forces that are training but ready to deploy and go fight in a real-world contingency. And in my view, the reason I was bringing the Marines up here for years is saying there's no better place in the world. You get the great training, but you're also in a real strategic location. If the balloon goes up, you know, on the Korean Peninsula or something, we would be ready to deploy and fight from Alaska.
While the presence of the force in Alaska will vary, the supporting arms liaison team will be providing a consistent Marine Corps presence by 2027. Now, even though the weather has been on the cool side, summer 2026 is expected to be an average wildfire season in Alaska. That's according to several experts we spoke with at the Interagency Wildfire Open House. They say once the ongoing cold and wet spell comes to an end in June, people should be on alert about causing and encountering fires. The Alaska Interagency Coordination Center Situation Dashboard shows there have been about 35 fires statewide so far this year, with a little over 20 acres burned. Aviva Braun with the National Weather Service explained why some areas are naturally more at risk than others.
The interior tends to experience more wildfire just because they see more thunderstorms than we do here. In Anchorage itself, we are kind of tempered by the marine environment, which leads to better stability of the atmosphere and cooler temperatures than what we see in the interior Alaska. They see temperatures in the 90s, they're drier.
Still, the Anchorage Office of Emergency Management urges people to be prepared this summer, recommending everyone in Anchorage sign up for the new Rave mobile safety alerts by texting your zip code to 67283. The Alaska Zoo showed appreciation for moms and wildlife on Mother's Day with fun activities and some eye-opening lessons on just how fast bears can tear into your trash. Charlie Fellows tells us what we need to know before hitting the trails this summer.
Your mom deserves a lot this Mother's Day. One thing she doesn't deserve is getting mauled by an Alaskan grizzly. That's why the Alaska Zoo is holding its yearly Bear Aware Day to give you and Mom some appreciation and respect for Alaska's fuzziest apex predator.
A bear!
The yearly event offering all mothers free admission and everyone a chance to see some bears in action.
We're providing the black bears some coolers and trash cans and things just to see how long it might take them to get in. And of course, it's always fun to watch. And kind of the big event is at 3 o'clock where we give our brown bears the bear-resistant cans that we have in our muni. It's always amazing to see because these brown bears just toss those cans like they weigh nothing.
Some containers held up, others quickly succumbing. All this in the name of increasing bear awareness.
I think this is one of our most important events here at the zoo. Again, living in Anchorage, it's really important to be bear aware. We've got a lot of black and brown bears in and around the area. So this is just an event to kind of celebrate our bears, but really we're trying to remember on how to be bear aware, you know, while you're out hiking or biking.
Advice from the zoo's education director includes never running or biking with headphones, especially early in the morning, remembering to put birdseed and garbage away, and keeping in mind that even in town, bears are around. So if you're taking Mom on that hiking trip this year, just remember to stay bear aware. Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.
Well, an engineering professor outside of Alaska has created a simulation and video game that can help people understand the scale of the August 2025 Tracy Arm landslide and tsunami in southeast Alaska in real time. A new research article says the massive landslide created an approximately 328-foot tsunami wave that pushed the water about 1,600 feet up the fjord wall. Part of the simulation and video game allows the person playing to try to outrun the tsunami on a jet ski.
The particularly compelling part of that is the jet ski can only go 70 miles an hour, which for a jet ski is quite fast, but the wave is so big and it moves so quickly that even though the jet ski is moving at 70 miles an hour, the wave is moving at close to 100 and it overtakes the jet ski. There's no way to escape the wave if you're on the water.
Patrick Lynette, the USC civil engineering professor who created the simulation, says when it comes to natural disasters, training people how to react is important. And one way to do that is through this digital work. He visited Tracy Arm about 2 months after the landslide and tsunami and says using the type of graphics they usually do would not be sufficient to convey the size of the Tracy Arm event.
It is still very hard for me to believe how high the landslide was. So the top of the landslide was 3,000 plus feet above the water. The wave itself went 1,500 feet up the mountainside. I saw these things and it's hard for me to believe that it happened. So for me, that is the most incredible aspect of this, the level of energy that was imparted onto the water.
The video game is not yet available to the public, but he says he's working on making it available on Steam for free. Cruise visitors are just days away from the interior, and Fairbanks is bracing for what's expected to be a record summer. Alex Bengal takes us through what's to come in Fairbanks this season.
It's like expected to be a record cruise season.
With cruise ship visitors only a week away, Scott McCrae with Explore Fairbanks expects high visitor numbers this summer.
If we look at the segment of the cruise land tour segment, which usually comprises about 41% of our summer visitation, it's looking to be a really good summer, just statewide.
Some passengers on these cruises traveling up to Fairbanks for a tour.
Princess is added on a 4th cruise ship for this summer. Royal Caribbean has their largest cruise ship, about 5,000 capacity, that's coming into Seward.
McCrae expressing concern about the independent market, which is harder to gauge and may be affected by uncertainty in global markets, including the prices of fuel and jet fuel.
We always try to keep an eye on all those different factors that could, ultimately impact the people coming here.
Last year's summer tourism season, meanwhile, went better than expected, and the area is seeing new attractions, including a recently opened planetarium at UAF and an upcoming air and automobile museum expected in June.
We are right now just at probably one of the greatest moments here within the Fairbanks visitor industry, with the addition of new, exciting year-round products and attractions that are really going to help change the landscape here in terms of the tourism industry.
But many tourists still come to the interior for its natural beauty, leaving with a connection to its people. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
The Anchorage Parks Foundation broke ground on a new connection for Anchorage's trail system over the weekend. The foundation says the project will connect the coastal and Ship Creek trails via a 1 mile long stretch of trail that goes from Elderberry Park around the boat launch and rail yard and to Ship Creek. Anchorage's mayor and several lawmakers made remarks touting the connection as a boost for Anchorage's robust trail system.
Trails really do connect us. This project is really important for our health, for our economy, for our growing tourism industry, and for the outdoor recreation industry and our community.
The Muni says it expects the bid to open Friday, and the trail may be open by the end of summer 2027. Coming up, layers on, clubs out. The Anchorage golf course is mostly open, with dozens of diehards already chasing birdies in May. We'll show you the rare spring conditions making this year's golf season one of the earliest in recent memory.
And we'll see much drier weather for inland areas of South Central, but coastal rain remains. I'll have more on that. But first at sunset coming in, or sunrise, 5:24 in Anchorage, 4:39 in June.
Welcome back in. 15 minutes past the hour on this Monday morning, and it's much of the same this morning. It was pretty wet out there, Aaron.
Yeah, as we went through the weekend, we did see those wet conditions. In fact, we did see a brand new daily record Saturday when it came to that rain that built in across South Central. Now, we're watching those temperatures this week, particularly through the interior, where 60s look to build into the interior. And we're going to see much drier and warmer conditions for inland areas of South Central. And we've got warmer in quotes because it's still going to be slightly cool compared to what we typically see for May standards. But we will try to warm into the lower 50s for inland areas as we head throughout this week. And of course, those ice jams still a concern across Alaska. This is the latest breakup conditions across the state. You can see many areas through the interior, South Central, as well as out west, seeing those waterways beginning to open up. And then as you head across western parts of the state and then north towards the slope, this is where we're still seeing mostly ice conditions. But out towards Manly along the Yukon River, water remains high, but it has receded some. That ice jam still in place out towards Kosna. And then as you head out towards Calskag, that ice jam is still in place at Burt's Crossing, which did lead to some flooding in Antioch through the weekend. Now, we've also got a flood warning this morning as you head out towards parts of the Koyukuk region. You can see numerous parts of the state remain up under some form of a flood watch, flood advisory, or a flood warning. And that flood warning is until 10 p.m. This evening out towards Hughes. An ice jam remains in place on the Koyukuk River that has led to some flooding out towards the airport as well as the school. And we'll likely continue to see additional increase in some of that flooding, as that flood watch will also be in effect for Hughes and areas surrounding the Koyukuk region or Koyukuk River into the evening hours. So just be mindful of those situations as we continue to head throughout the day, really the rest of this week, as those temperatures warm and that breakup gets well underway across the state. Chilly along the slope this morning, 1 degree in Utqiagvik, 11 in Dead Horse. Elsewhere across Alaska, we've got many areas waking up in the 30s and the 40s. And while rain will increase across coastal areas of South Central, as well as out towards Kodiak, inland locations, we're going to fare much drier this week. We may see some spotty to isolated activity, but we are going to really take hold of this week with some drier conditions, even some sunshine breaks. Stepping outside this morning, you'll see some of that sun peeking through, and today will provide mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies for parts of inland areas of South Central. So through the rest of today, And on through the middle of the week, we're going to favor a couple to several inches of rain accumulation out towards coastal locations, while inland areas of south central, we're just going to see some stray to isolated activity, which may bring a few hundredths of an inch of that rainfall. So precip chances this week, much drier as you head into inland areas. We'll just keep again with some of that stray to isolated activity as we head through the rest of this week, and those temperatures will continue to slowly warm. We'll stay in the upper 40s today with a few locations managing to warm into the 50s, but by the middle of the week on into the end of the week, we'll easily climb into the lower 50s, some mid 50s looking possible. But the key takeaway is, Kristen, this week, much drier for inland areas. So I know a lot of people have been wanting to get outdoors. They're tired of the rain, and if you live north of the Gulf Coast region, this week is for you.
Yeah, we're ready for some sun. Thank you, Aaron. Winter who? Anchorage golfers are already back on the greens with 17 holes play ready despite the long, cold season. Tyler Lane shows us how the course crew pulled off an early open.
If you wander over by hole 14 at Anchorage Golf Course, many might think the work was just beginning. Yet, for everywhere else on the grounds,
all right, Brett, pressure's on now.
It's almost like winter never happened.
The Alaska's golf community is very rabid, kind of smallish, but the second they can get going, they're going to get going, and we're going to have basically full days every day we can.
Despite a cold winter paired with a spring caddy that can't seem to hit the fairway, it hasn't taken long to get things up to par.
Well, the maintenance department, you know how cold it was this winter. They're out, air compressors blowing air between the tarps to help the gas exchange so that the grass would be in this condition when we opened. So they've been working really hard during the cold winter to make this happen.
Management says having so much of the course ready for play this early is a rarity, and it's to the golfers' benefit, because that means most of the course is fair game from right here at the driving range to the majority of the greens here, ready for you to be keeping score or just test out your putting skills. As of May 8th, 17 greens are play ready, something returning golfers are already taking advantage of.
You notice I have layers on here, multiple layers, so, you know, true Alaskans, we're out, we're playing.
With more to come as the grass gets greener.
They go, oh no, ball, give it a second.
And the birdies, both on the course and in the trees, start chirping.
We just hear from everybody out playing just how excited they are to be out. And in these conditions of the golf course to have 17 greens open, they're really excited.
Tyler Lane, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.